Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Astoria. I am a whimsical fantasy artist just trying to find myself here in this big world. Today I'm going to be chit-chatting about some of my recently used favorite art supplies. You can clearly see my love for pencil cases. I have quite a few. I might have a slight obsession, but hey, a good pencil case keeps everything organized, right? I think every artist should have in their collection some really good pencils. For me in particular, I love using mechanical pencils over traditional wooden ones for a couple different reasons. I believe they're way more convenient, there's no need to stop and sharpen them, just a simple click and you're ready to sketch. Another really big thing for me is going to be the grip of the pencil. I have a callus on the tip of my middle finger and sometimes I need a little extra cushion. Mechanical pencils will always give you a really sharp, smooth, consistent line every time. Typically, I prefer using a 0.5mm or a 0.7mm lead. And I don't typically tend to go higher than a 0.7 because I prefer thinner lines and anything over that is just a little bit too thick for me. One thing I would like to note is the erasers on the backs of these pencils. I actually rarely ever use them unless it's a dire emergency. And the reasoning for this is because I hate having to constantly be swatting away the eraser shavings every single time I make a mistake or if I make a change to my drawing. And 9 out of 10 times it leaves my paper looking really dull and really gray. Now, this last pencil in particular is one of the most uncomfortable ones that I own because of the metal grip, but because it's one of my first pencils, I still like to keep it in my collection and use it from time to time. So if you're not familiar, this is a kneaded eraser. So these are super soft, moldable erasers that can erase without having any form of eraser shavings anywhere on your paper, and it won't damage your paper either. And unlike regular erasers, my favorite part about these is that they can be reshaped for precise erasing. Now, I've tried many different brands and by far the ones from Faber-Castell knock every other kneaded eraser out of the ballpark. Now, I'm not sure if this pink one was a limited edition one, as typically they're sold as a gray color. However, needless to say, it's on brand with everything else I own that's pink. So sometimes when I want to break away from my mechanical pencils, I like to switch things up with these jumbo colored pencil crayons. Now typically I like to stick to the colors pink, blue, and red, and recently I've added this really cool multicolored one to my collection and it's so much fun to play with. One of my top liners for deep, rich pigment is this Pentel brush pen. I absolutely love how intense the color is, plus bonus, it's refillable. Now while I do own this in a pink as well, and I do tend to reach for that more often than the black, I do believe this is a wonderful ink liner that every artist should have in their art supplies, especially if they love fine lining. Now, I own a ton of Prismacolor, Crayola, and Faber-Castell pencil crayons, but by far, in my personal opinion, again, Faber-Castell takes the win. They have super high quality pigments, and I really like that their cores are break resistant. These pencils offer a super smooth application and they blend really effortlessly. I think there's a big reason why they are a huge favorite among many artists. I myself always stock up on lots of browns, lots of fun greens and blues since I use them so often for my backgrounds and my artwork. Now these are just a few of the paintbrushes I've collected over the years, the ones I reach for most often when I'm painting. I definitely prefer round brushes over square, and most of these are going to be synthetic. These are super durable, they hold their shape really well, they work great with watercolor, gouache, and even acrylics. My collection includes tons of Da Vinci, Raphael, Tintoretto, and Borciani Bonazzi brushes. Maintaining your brushes is going to be essential for their longevity and their performance. I've used many different brush cleaners, and most recently I started using Raphael's honey-based soap. Allegedly, it is a 100% natural soap that uses honey to enhance lather, condition, and effectively clean both synthetic and natural haired bristled brushes. Regularly cleaning with a gentle soap like this helps to preserve the brush's shape, the brushes themselves, and it really ensures that they remain in top condition for you to be using for future projects. This is a ceramic palette. I really like using it because it doesn't stain or has the paint beading up like a plastic one would, so I'm definitely happy that I have this in my collection. This Sakura watercolor set was the very first palette I ever invested in, and it's still one of my favorite palettes to this day. It's a Japanese watercolor set, and you can see just how much I've loved and used this thing. I mean, there are significant dents in these pans. Every single time that I start a painting, this is always the first palette that I choose. And lastly, I have the wonderful Schmincke Watercolor 24 full pan set. Now this set is basically the final boss of my paint collection. It's ridiculously expensive, I have to give it that, but the pigment payoff is absolutely insane. The colors are so vibrant, and you just need the tiniest amount of water and product to pack a punch in your artwork. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember the artist's name who made these incredibly cute stickers, but I had to deck out my palette. This is my large plastic watercolor mixing palette, which has removable trays. It's awesome. And I know that everything in here looks super messy, but there is a method to my madness. For me, leaving existing pigments on the palette is super helpful because I don't have to recreate colors from scratch. Plus, I can tweak an existing shade instead of having to start all over again. I really enjoy these sketchbooks from the Talons Art Creations series. The paper has a nice off-white color and it's super smooth. Personally, don't mind that it crinkles a bit under watercolor experiments. To me, I think it adds more character. I know the Canson XL watercolor pads or sketchbooks, I'm not really sure what to call this, they aren't necessarily the greatest paper in the world. I love how great they are with pencil crayons and inks after having applied watercolor. If I tape the paper down onto my painting board, it usually dries completely flat with no bumps or creases. Fabriano is definitely better quality, it feels thicker, but the paper isn't as smooth. To this day, I'm still trying to make peace with the texture of the paper and to take my time when I'm working on future projects. And lastly, I need a ton of masking tape for creating borders around my artwork and securing my paper to my painting board. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in a future video.